Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to kill him.
He's the one that's tied to the dude that makes the loaded dice. Right? Check the play out. All entertainers, when you go to Houston, stay away from Jay Prince Jr. The whole play going on. Here go the play right here. The play is a loaded dice.
Is that a jeweler named Duke recently got killed, and the story's really messed up. So I want you to talk about what happened.
Blood-stained dice rolled across the velvet table. Everyone smiled, but only one man would walk out alive. Duke the jeweler didn't die broke. He died surrounded by wolves. Now there's blood on Mob Ties' hands, and the feds know it. Duke didn't get robbed. He got executed, and not by some masked strangers in an alley. He died after leaving Boosie's dice game, surrounded by people who dapped him up 1 minute and might have been sending signals the next. The same people are now under federal heat, and now 50 Cent is leaking the whispers, reposting the receipts, and hinting at a setup bigger than what anybody thought. And here's what makes this mess straight up cinematic. Just 2 weeks before Takeoff was murdered under eerily similar dice game circumstances, Duke was the one shutting down the table at a Drench Jr. dice game. And when the wrong man starts winning, that's when everything starts spiraling. Now the entire Mob Tie circle is being watched. Boosie, G Prince Jr., Lil Cam, all of them. And what started as whispers is turning into warrants. But how did we even get here? Let's zoom out, because what looked like a friendly dice game may have been a loaded execution from the start. From the outside looking in, Duke the jeweler was living the dream. Chicago native, self-made, built his brand from nothing. He wasn't just slinging iced-out chains to SoundCloud rappers. This man was crafting pieces for big names, real clientele, and building a serious name in the industry. He didn't come to Houston for fun. He came for a bag. Boosie allegedly invited him down personally to talk about a custom piece. So Duke packed that $1 million Louis duffel with his best designs and pulled up. What he didn't know was that the meeting was about to double as his final goodbye. Now let's zoom in on that dice game. According to leaked audio from Wack 100, yes, this is directly from a source tied to the streets. This wasn't just a friendly game of chance. This was a whole operation. Allegedly, JPR Jr. runs what's now being called a loaded dice ring. And get this, it's always the same 3 guys at the table. Lil Cam, Big Capri, and Wolf. The trio that rotates the dice like it's some passing ritual. The house always wins unless someone fumbles the rotation. Well, that night someone fumbled. According to Wack, Duke got past the dice that weren't meant for him, and they were loaded. He started hitting back to back, hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands fast. And what happens when someone breaks a rigged system? The people behind it panic. Let's talk math. J Prince Jr., according to insiders, allegedly gets 30% of every dice night Tythal. So when Duke started draining stacks, that wasn't just luck. That was a financial threat. Add to that, Duke's energy that night was loud, confident, and flex-heavy. He was dripping in diamonds, tossing stacks like confetti, and filming it all for Instagram. Now here's where it starts getting really off. If you pause the footage from that dice game, you'll catch Boosie making a soft whistle. Nothing aggressive, but then his nephew immediately turns and locks eyes with Duke. Another man in a red hoodie taps the nephew on the arm like a signal. Suddenly, the vibe in the room shifts. One moment, Duke was cracking jokes and tossing dice. Next, it felt like a countdown, and just minutes later, Duke is dead. This is the kind of tension you can't fake. It's not paranoia, it's body language. Because when someone walks into a room full of people who already decided how the night ends, you can feel it. And if you want even more proof that this was no ordinary game, ask yourself this. Why would a millionaire like Boosie bring a guest with over $1 million in jewelry into a dice game full of people he doesn't fully trust without offering security? Why didn't Prince Jr. have protection set up for a known-out off-towner carrying that kind of heat? Well, let's rewind to the exact moment Duke left that dice game. He wasn't flanked by security, no team, no driver, just him walking solo through a dark Houston lot after being around millions in cash and ice all night. If that sounds off to you, that's because it is. But here's where it goes from suspect to sinister. Within minutes, shots ring out. Duke is ambushed and fatally shot. Now, usually in a setup or robbery gone wrong, what's the first thing taken is jewelry and cash. But Duke was found with everything still on him. So what kind of robbery leaves behind 7-figure jewelry? The same $1 million jewelry he was wearing to Boosie's concert before he died.
Time but never gave up. I stayed tough, even when I got my chain stuck. Go through hard time, but we know that what made us. Can't blame us, we love the script, cause that what paid us. Yeah, ain't gotta ask, I know them niggas laid up. I call King, I get the patch, like going where I'm up. I can't even find, you know how many nights I done stayed up. Know how many fucking.
And the real mic drop moment was that Louis Vuitton bag Duke was carrying. The one holding his most prized unreleased jewelry designs didn't just vanish. It showed up inside Boosie's house. Let that marinate. Houston PD confirmed this. Whether Duke handed Boosie the bag for safekeeping during the dice game or Boosie took it after the fact, we don't know. But one thing's clear, the bag made it back to Boosie. Duke didn't. And Boo's response, a shaky Instagram live from a plane saying he barely knew Duke and claiming Duke just walked off.
He was walking to his car or something, and some dude tried to rob him. Dudes tried to rob him. See, some dudes had tried to rob me and walked off by himself. I had just met dude yesterday. Some bitch tried to rob dude. Dude must ain't get up.
Spokesman Flight Zach, we're number 2 for departure. Flight attendants, please bear the captain.
Just met dude.
Didn't you say Duke was going to make you a custom chain? You barely knew him, but you invited him to a private dice game and let him walk to his car alone after flashing $1 million in jewelry. Something ain't clicking. Then he continued,
We was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in a garage. We heard the but it like they was far away in the parking lot. He must have went to his car or something, bro. Dude was finna make a piece for him too. Damn.
Well, let's be real, he didn't look like an innocent male. He was pale and worried. And if you thought that was bad, it gets worse. The feds, who had already been snipping around Boosie for other legal issues, decided to split Duke's case off into a standalone federal investigation. That means no delays, no stacking it behind past charges, just a laser focus on what happened to Duke. So they did what they do best, track the phone. Duke's last phone ping was Bowie's recording studio. So, unless Duke's phone got up and walked there by itself, someone from Boo's circle took it there. And they weren't even trying to be slick. They didn't wipe it. They didn't destroy it. The phone just went dark after that ping, meaning it was likely turned off manually. That's what got the feds heated. Next, they searched Duke's rental car. Forensics found prints from Boosie's nephew and Boosie's cousin. And just when it felt like this couldn't get more twisted, it does. A witness who was just outside the building smoking came forward said they saw Duke walking alone toward his car. Everything seemed normal, but suddenly Boo's nephew slid out from the shadows. It looked like he was waiting. Duke, sensing something was off, allegedly swung first, tried to defend himself, fought back, but he didn't have a chance. One quick motion and Boosie's nephew allegedly pulled the trigger, and they didn't even try to stage a robbery. Why? Because it wasn't about stealing, it was about silencing. And then, instead of disappearing, they kept the bag. That's not sloppy. That's arrogance. And you know who else noticed all this? 50 Cent. Do you ever notice how when artists pull up to Houston, there's always that same warning? Make sure you check in. It's not official. It's not written down. But it's real. Artists, influencers, even athletes, they've all heard it that if you're moving through Houston without checking in with J. Prince Jr. and the Mob Tie Circle, you're playing with fire. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. What happens when the people you're checking in with are the ones setting you up? Let's be clear. J. Prince Jr. was the host of the dice game Duke attended. The same host from the dice game where Takeoff was killed. And once Duke ended up dead, that check-in culture went from protection to suspicion. Because if J. Prince Jr. truly ran the city the way he claims, then why is it that 2 men didn't make it out alive? Even Wack 100 couldn't stay silent.
Entertainer invites him in, act like he's covering for him, hanging out, everything is cool. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go there. He introduces the dice game. He got 3 right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators. Right? He said, what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler around and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right? Boom. The only way they could get their money back was however money back. He said, but Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice are the 3 designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they pass the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting.
Now, word on the street is that some artists are quietly distancing themselves. Labels pulling out of Houston events, and it's becoming radioactive. Even 50 Cent has started to subtly air it out. He's been reposting clips, dropping not-so-subtle captions, and calling out the game. Some say he's playing with fire. Others think he's just the only one bold enough to say what everybody else is thinking. Sources say Boosie is panicking that the feds are applying pressure, separating this case from his past gun charges, and digging specifically into the night Duke died. They've started looking into his mansions, his financials, even his son's digital trail. But the real chaos might be coming from inside. Allegedly, Boo's own girlfriend told someone that Boosie ran back inside that night, clearly hiding something. Yet he keeps pretending that he knew nothing.
I gotta do my research, see what Julie might have been down there shooting dice. But nevertheless, to all the entertainers, you know, Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows, right? I don't know if y'all watched that. I was thinking about Daisy Dukes for a reason. I don't know why I said that. You know, one might go with it, may not go with it, but I don't know. The math is math and let it math. But entertainers, beware. Oh, with J. Prince Jr., when he talked about let's go shoot some dice. Because the loaded dice crew are 3 Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice. We know Lil Cam in there because I believe somehow, some way, he was caught up in the dice situation. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know this, J. Prince Jr. got a whole thing that when y'all come into town, hold on, bro. Didn't they say 5th Ward earlier that day shooting dice?
Yep, that's a fact. That word been out, Wack. That word been out. We been had that memo.
And then, so I've been getting hit all day, and it got to the point at the thing, Quavo like, that into dice. That's what this nigga J. Prince Jr., boy, these niggas got all kind of shit going on down there. they say, he said the jeweler nigga got past the dice. He didn't even know the motherfuckers was loaded. He just think he hit. These niggas is mad as a motherfucker. Cause they like, nigga, how you pass this nigga the loaded dice on us?
This is all he keeps telling everyone. His car was outside the arena under where we was. It was inside the parking.
We was gambling. You know, every party I throw gambling parties and shit. Dude was gambling. They trying to make false reps like the dude beat somebody out some money, but the dude actually lost his money, bro. Ain't nobody really win. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude lost his money, and you know, four dude left. Dude was like, man, I won't make a piece for you. Woo de woo. I'm like, nigga, make me a gold piece. You know what I'm saying?
This is all he keeps telling everyone.
His car was outside the arena under where we was. It was on side the parking lot, so he had to walk to his car. And that's where the incident took place, when somebody, you know, tried to get him or whatever. But Vlad, bro, if anybody know me, bro, that ain't my stilo, bro. You know what I'm saying? That ain't how I get down, bro. Like, that ain't how none of my people get down. And that's just the bottom line. That's shit that we wouldn't do. And, you know, we was fucked up about it because obviously they were watching us. You know, obviously they were waiting for anybody to walk across that parking lot to them cars and get in them cars. So, you know, it could have been one of them.
And now people are wondering if Bowie false, who's he bringing down with him, because Boosie doesn't roll solo. His nephew is involved. His cousin is involved. His name is now tangled up with J. Prince Jr., Sname, who's already under pressure after Takeoff's death. The threads are crossing, and they're all leading back to one table. And it gets even messier. Finesse 2 times, the same artist mob ties once stood behind, is now airing out everything from shouting out J. Prince Jr. in interviews to barely saying his name. It's clear something flipped. At first, the fallout looked quiet. Finesse just stopped showing up around Jr. No concerts, no backstage hangs. Then the whispers started. Apparently, the whole thing started over a woman. And not just any woman, Fineness's baby mama. A few months ago, she and her mother allegedly lined him up, called the cops on him, and got him locked back up for violating probation. And guess who stepped in to get him out? J. Prince Sr. himself. Behind the scenes, he made a few calls, and Finesse was back on the streets within 2 weeks. But instead of showing gratitude, Finesse went right back to the same girl. That's when Sr. had enough. He got on Twitter and said this with his chest. I told the homie to stay the FK away from that woman if he loves his life. But the homie wouldn't listen to my words, even though I had to step in to get him out of prison. Y'all better be careful out here thinking these women have your best interest at heart. And here's where things get even messier. Rumors started that J. Prince Jr. might have gotten Fineness's girl pregnant behind his back. Now, is it confirmed? No, but the fact that people believe it and Finesse hasn't denied it tells you everything you need to know. And while some fans chalked it up to drama, others started seeing the pattern. Junior has beef with Takeoff's family. He's feuding with Boosie behind the scenes. And now Finesse is publicly spiraling. People are asking, how many bridges can you burn before the whole empire collapses? Because here's the truth. When you build your reputation on silence, fear, and power plays, all it takes is one person to flip. One artist, one friend, one witness, and it's all over. So now the question is, will it be Boosie who speaks first? Will Finesse finally say what really happened? Or will 50 Cent's obsession with exposing mob ties push J. Prince Jr. to do what no one thought he'd ever do, break the code of silence and save himself? Either way, the collapse has started, and now the whispers are turning into hard knocks. Behind the scenes, federal agents are quietly checking Boosie's entire estate portfolio, his Baton Rouge mansion, his Georgia land. They're tracing every dollar. So now Boosie's not just being investigated, he's being surveilled. And let's not forget, this isn't just about Boosie. This is about J. Prince Jr. too. The artists are backing away. The labels are backing away. This ain't rap beef. This is Ryko energy. And with Duke's killer possibly caught on tape, All it takes is one person to sell it to TMZ or the feds. And if that video drops, it's game.